Big Daddy here with another video in the series of customizing KDE. And today we're going to talk about the desktop settings. So some of you are going to have to bear with me a little bit because a lot of these to start out with are basic stuff that you already know, and hopefully this video will help out new users and even help out people that are, maybe not so familiar with KDE. But if you already know some of this stuff, just act like you don't and bear with me. Okay, so this is the default wallpaper for KDE Neon. A lot of distributions come with multiple wallpapers, and some of them are nice, but I usually like to pick my own, and I guess that's their idea as well, because not many people stick with a default wallpaper, so I am not going to stick with the default wallpaper. So right now, the layout on the desktop is a desktop layout, which on KDE that means that it's a semi-active desktop, which means you can right-click on it, you can do things on it. It's not inactive like in other distributions, in other desktop environments, but it's semi-active. So you can right-click and have a menu, but there are no icons. They will not show up. You can drag things from the folder over to the desktop and they will show up in your desktop folder. They just won't show up on the desktop actually because this is not the folder view. You may switch to the folder view, and if you do, you will see the contents of the desktop folder, and that's okay if that's what you like. But I prefer to go with the desktop layout. And also, depending on which layout you have different options. So right here you would have open with Dolphin, and basically you're opening the desktop folder. You don't have that option when it's a desktop layout, but you don't really need that either when it's a desktop layout. So it does have different menus in the right click when you change from folder to desktop view, and when you change from image to, say, a slideshow, it changes a little bit, gives you different options for different things. So we're going to go back with the desktop layout, and yeah, now I'm closing it out because I've been having trouble with this just closing on me, so I'm not sure what's going on with it. I mean, I normally don't have any problems with Neon, but it seems to be closing out on me here. So there is the two layout choices. So you can do a wallpaper image, which is what we have here, but we're going to add our own, say. So let's see here. Wallpapers. Where are my wallpapers? Okay, there's my folder. All right, I'm good. All right, so we're just going to, I don't know, add this one and put it on that. It's pretty decent. And yeah, so you change it to yours, or you can hit get new wallpapers and it'll load the normal KDE installing extra stuff menu. It's not the technical term, that's the Big Daddy term. So you can, now it says on install because I had already installed these earlier to check it out, but you would just hit install and you can install a few different ones. Check them out. There's a lot of talented people making wallpapers out here. So once we do that, we can switch over to them. Not my cup of tea. It's not bad, but we're going to stick with this for the moment. So that's two ways of getting wallpaper. Now, you can switch to a slideshow, which if you switch to a slideshow and you don't have a folder here, you can just click here and add the folder of your choice. So in my slideshow, you can change it. You can have it change every hour. You can have it change every minute. Let's do 10 seconds, I guess, just to show you what it does. So what it's going to do is going to pick a random picture in the folder that I picked, and every 10 seconds it's going to change that wallpaper. So can I talk for 10 seconds until it changes? Of course I can. Yeah, so there's the next wallpaper. Now you can manually go to the next wallpaper image if you like, and you can even open that wallpaper image in the photo program. from the right-click menu. And that's why I said there's different menu options in different ways that you have it set up. So I like changing my wallpaper, and I just don't, I don't know. I would rather keep it on the image and change it when I want to. Because sometimes I'm in the mood to keep, say, this wallpaper for a day, and then I get tired of it, and then I want to change it. But man, I may like this wallpaper and have it for a week. I'm not only a distro hopper, I'm a wallpaper hopper. Is that a word? A wallpaper hopper. It's a term. It's a Big Daddy term. Okay, so the next one would be, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce these because I'm not good with pronouncing stuff to begin with, let alone these words. So if you do this and you hit apply, what this will do is it takes this wallpaper and it keeps this wallpaper with the little circles here, multiple spotlight type circles. But every 10-15 seconds, it will change the hue or the color of it so that it changes to, say, a red or a blue or a green, purple. It will just pick a random color and it will just change like that. So that's one way of doing it. All right, so then you would come in here and let's see here. You can do a plain color, black, or you can pick any color of your choice. Or you can go with the last option, which is another word I'm not going to pronounce, and hit apply. And it's pretty much the same as the other one, where this picture stays the same, but the hue or the color on these items here change. So this may be purple now, and in a minute or two, this will be purple. So it gives it a little bit of change, but not changing the actual wallpaper. So this would be a good setup if you had, say, a widget clock and you wanted it in a certain spot because you liked the way the lines drew the separation and you had certain things set up and you wanted change, but you didn't want to change the whole layout. So that would work in that scenario. So I'm going to keep it on a single image. We're going to pick that one for the video purposes. And you can do scaled and crop, scaled, keep proportions, centered and tiled. So they're pretty basic functions. Now, the next part of the settings is the clicking on the desktop. So every mouse button has a action that you can perform a different action if you click it on the desktop. So the forward button on the mouse brings up the actual menu, a little drop down menu, kind of similar to a Mate applications menu. And it's actually pretty nice to be able to know that that's there for quick use. If you don't want to, I mean, if you're up here and you just want to, you know exactly what you want and bam, you're in it. These are the default settings. So the vertical scroll would switch desktops. I don't have multiple desktops, so it's not going to switch to anything. Middle button would be to paste something. And the right button is the standard menu, which you see here, and which changes, like I said, depending on what you have. So you can change these. You can change any of these to, you can switch the window. You can actually do pretty good amount of things here, depending on what you prefer. Now, these are settings that, they may not be completely useful for everybody. Sometimes you forget that they're there. That's how in-depth KDE can get. But if you get used to using them, it might save you some time. So the next setting is the tweaks, which ain't much here, but this is the show the desktop toolbox, which is this thing here. So it used to be a cashew back in the old KDE 4 days and 3, but they changed it to the hamburger. And you never were able to actually get rid of it when it was a cashew. It was a very annoying cashew, to say the least. So they did listen, and they did allow you to uncheck it so that you don't have that. If you don't need that or don't use it, it's just taking up extra space. So they give you the option to remove it, which is awesome. Because there was a way before to go into the config files and remove the cache, but then it would come back and it was just a mess. So I'm glad that they added that to Plasma 5 to allow you to remove it. So the other one is a widget handling. So when you add a widget, if you click anywhere and hold it on top of a widget, it'll actually pop up the box where you can resize it, remove it, or go into the settings of it. So that's all for the desktop settings themselves. But for the desktop, you have the run command. So if you needed to run something that's basically KRunner that pops up, you can hit, what is it, Alt F2 or something like that. Yeah, Alt F2 brings up KRunner, but you can also right click and hit the run command and it'll bring up KRunner as well. You can add widgets, which this is why you don't really need the toolbox hamburger, because you can just right click and hit add widgets and it'll add them to your desktop. Add to the panel, you can add a panel. So say you wanted to add another panel here. So, and one thing that I didn't mention in the panel video was if you add a panel, say, and I told you that you could resize the panel itself and have it, let's do this, hit more settings and let's hit center. And then we'll move to the screen edge to here. This is where it comes in handy for having, like if you had a vertical panel here and this panel here. Now it doesn't seem to work well this way, but I can move this panel, say I can move this panel to the left, and I can move this panel just to where it reaches that point, and then the panels don't overlap. So I just need to adjust that just a little bit. Not cooperating. So the panels now, you can have icons up here and not have the panels overlap. That's one of the features of that menu where you can shorten or lower the panel that I didn't mention in the panel video. So I'm going to remove this panel and I'm going to put my settings back the way I had them and center them. Okay. So back to the desktop settings, our regularly scheduled program. And the difference between the default panel and the empty panel is an empty panel will have nothing. The default panel will have the system tray, clock, and the application launcher. You can lock the widgets, which will remove the hamburger and lock any widgets that you have in place. You can unlock the widgets. You can lock the screen. You can hit leave because, like I said, that's a menu that's in across the board of KDE. And that's it for the menu itself. The other ones that are added with the different layouts are self-explanatory. So let's add some widgets here. So if you add a widget, and it was funny because I was watching a Rob Collins video, and he had a desktop wallpaper. It was a pretty cool wallpaper. It was blue and white, and it had a couch on it. And you guys probably seen it. But in one of the videos, he had the clock, and he had it on the wall of the actual wallpaper, and it looked like it was there, like it looked like it was built into the wallpaper, but yet it was actually telling the time. So it was an awesome thing to see it like that. But you can just double click on any widget, or you can drag it to the desktop or whatever you want to do. And if you wanted to put a calendar in the middle or a calculator in the middle, it's basically, it acts like a widget, not just the program. So you're not actually opening up the calculator, you're just opening up the widget. So it works a little bit differently than actually opening up the program. So there's multiple widgets here, and this here is the folder view. So this would be in place of, and let me show you, before I go any further, let me show you what that, if you click and hold, it brings up the menu to the right there where you can actually just move this anywhere you want. So this one here opens it. This one here is the view settings. So it's basically the settings for the widget itself. So right now let's show the desktop folder, but you can specify a folder of your choice. You can do a custom title. I mean, whatever you want to do here. You can change the way the folder appears in rows or columns. You can sort the folder the way you want. I mean, this is a pretty in-depth plasma widget here. So plasmoid, I don't want to say it the wrong way because somebody will say something about it, but you can filter it so that you can filter out certain things or filter in certain things. It's a pretty in-depth widget. So, but if you were using the desktop layout like I am, but you still wanted to see, say, a certain folder, even the desktop folder, but you wanted it to have just this, then you would use this desktop folder widget, which would then allow you to show just what you wanted to. So you could have 45 icons in here, but you wanted a clean desktop, but you still wanted access to the desktop folder. This would be the way to go. So let's just show what it would look like, say, with more folders. So if you wanted to customize it and specify a different folder, click here, you open it up, and let's say we'll do the home folder. And we'll hit apply. Okay, so now we have multiple folders that we got to scroll through, where you can set the size to your choice, to your liking, as small or as big as you want it. You could do a row on the bottom, say, of the desktop itself. However way you wanted to do it. Now these don't have icons because from a previous KDE install, I had my own icon set to these folders, and now that I redid my home folder, I have to reset those icons. So some of these will not show up, but these are the normal icons for the folder. So if you did this, you could, like I said, do something like this where you have quick access to folders, and that's if you don't mind seeing them on the desktop. You want to lay them out the way you want to lay them out. So that is actually a nice feature. Me personally, I prefer to run without anything on the desktop and, use Plank or whatever to get to the folders. But it does offer a lot of customization. So, and let's see, let's hit undo and see what let's see what this looks like, if it changes any. See, so if you raise this calendar one up, you can actually have the full calendar here. And it doesn't stay just the icon. So depending on what size you have it, like it'll come down to a certain point and then it'll change to the icon. Well, maybe if I changed it back now, I don't know. Day in the month, week number. Let's see, what's that do? So, of course it's going to make a liar out of me because this is a Big Daddy video and nothing ever works out the way it's supposed to. But yeah, so it started out as an icon, and now I can't get it back to an icon, but you get the idea that you can pick the calendar view by changing the size, or you can pick the actual view of the calendar. So the clock is there is alternatives to it. So you can view it as a calendar like that, and there would be the day number that it is. Or you can view it as a digital clock and resize it to whatever you like. Or you can do a fuzzy clock, which was never my choice of things. So for this, we're just going to leave it on the clock. So the reason I mentioned that about Rob's video with the clock is you can do tons of things if you have a creative mind, which this is why I don't have widgets on my desktop, because I don't have that creative mind. But if you have a creative mind, you can like implement this stuff into the wallpaper itself. and make it your own, make it look nice. So let's go back to the widgets and see if there's anything else interesting to check out. The Kde Connect widget is already in the it's already in the panel, so you really don't need that. The media player widget, it already comes up automatically in the system tray, but if you wanted a second one here, you could. And I mean, there's tons and tons of stuff here to do. But you can also hit Get New Widgets, and you can install it from a local file if you get one from, say GitHub or something like that. Or you can just go here and look at all the widgets that have been created, and usually you want to do the newest sorting. Now, the one thing I would tell you is you should probably read the notes and the details on all of these, because like this one here gives you instructions on how to make and build and all that other stuff. Not all of them are simple, and not all of them work with the latest Plasma. One of the good things about KDE Neon is it's up to date with the latest Plasma. But one of the downsides to that is not all the widgets will always work with it, and other types of add-ons, because the widgets have to be continually updated to work with the newest, latest version. So for example, I was going to include the Now Dock panel in the Plank video, but it doesn't work for anything higher than I think 5.7 Plasma. So it's basically like a Plank panel with less customization options. I mean, there's customization, but it doesn't exactly, it's a mimic of the Plank panel, but it's not exact. Okay, and then there's the Now Dock Plasmoid, which is you can put anywhere basically. The other one is a panel where you would right click and hit Add Panel, and you would see it in here, Add Now Dock Panel. This is a Plasmoid where you would just add the widget and add it to wherever you wanted to on the desktop. And they're made by the same guy, they work the same way, but neither of them are updated to work with 5.82, which is disappointing, because I was definitely looking forward to see what features they were going to implement and see if it was going to actually outdo Plank. But like I said, there are many in here. You just got to understand that some of them are not always going to work the way they're intended to. So you should read the details just in case. So if you install one of these and then you go to, there's many times where I installed one of these and then went to add widgets and it's nowhere to be found. So, and that's because it's just not set up to work with the newest Plasma edition. So those are the desktop settings and the widget settings. And I guess that's all I need to talk about in that part of it. So the next video, I'm not sure which direction we're going to go in. Probably window management and stuff like that. But until then, Big Daddy out.